Hey everyone, and welcome back to the Firefighters podcast, where we seek to develop, inspire, and motivate the world of the emergency services operator through a series of wide-ranging conversations. Now, before we go any further, just hit that rate, follow, or subscribe button on whatever platform you're listening to. It's a key performance indicator for us and helps us reach even more people. Now, here's what we've got for you today. On Saturday, the 8th of November 2025, the New York City Fire Department lost one of its own. Firefighter Patrick Brady, a 42-year-old member of Ladder 120 in Brownsville, Brooklyn, collapsed while working on the roof of a 6-story apartment building on Kings Highway. Despite the efforts of his crew and FDNY medics, Patrick passed away a short time later at Brookdale University Hospital. Patrick had served 11 years in the department. He was part of a firefighting family. His brothers, cousins, and uncles all wear the same badge. The sort of family where the job isn't just work, it's identity. It runs in the bloodstream. And that night, Patrick was doing what firefighters do: climbing, cutting, opening, making conditions better for his crews below. It's the kind of work that demands all of you, physically, mentally, emotionally. And it's the kind of work that defines the service. So today, we're not here to question tactics or apportion blame. This is an FDNY Firefighter, and that's not what this episode is about. This episode is about understanding the context of what Patrick was doing and the human realities that surround that kind of operation, and also to recognize the sacrifice made by his families, his colleagues, and the entire firefighting community. Because when we lose one of our own, we owe it to them to learn, to look carefully at what the job demands of us and how we prepare for it. Let's talk about up on the roof. In firefighting, there are few positions more demanding than the roof team, and this is a lot more familiar to US-based firefighters, so it's a good insight for our UK teams. Operating above the fire floor is both an act of control and of faith. The crew on the roof is there to create a release, pretty much, cutting openings to let heat and smoke escape, giving the fire somewhere to go that isn't into the attack team or the stairwell. It's called vertical ventilation, and it's a long recognized tactic in structural firefighting. It's not about good or bad, it's about timing, coordination, and purpose. You will find it written into firefighting manuals across the US and tactical guidance all over the world. Even in the UK, tactical ventilation is referenced throughout national doctrine. In the US, it's taught from recruit school to command level. It's the science of pressure, temperature, and flow paths, and the art of knowing when to open, where to open, and how to make the fire behave rather than letting it do the thinking for us. We do also see this vertical ventilation in the UK. Think about vents in warehouses and factories. Think about vertical vents in stairwells. It may not be something we tactically deploy our firefighters to do in the same way as they do in the US, but it's a tactic that comes with real exposure. Working on or above the fire-involved roof means heat, instability, limited visibility, and extreme physical effort. Every moment counts, every second matters. You've really got to be switched on up there. And on that November night, Patrick Brady was up there doing exactly what he should be doing and doing exactly that work. Let's have a look at the fireground itself. So the incident at 94 and 7 Kings Highway escalated quickly. What began as a working fire in a 6-story apartment quickly grew into a 5-alarm blaze. That's one of the largest classifications the FDNY uses. Hundreds of firefighters from across Brooklyn responded. Crews were pushing inside, others were on ladders and aerial platforms, and Patrick was on the roof, performing ventilation operations when he went into cardiac arrest. He was treated immediately by his crew and FDNY medics, but unfortunately he didn't make it. Unfortunately, he leaves behind his wife, Cara, his 2 brothers, also both firefighters, and an entire department that will never forget him. There was a line when I was doing a bit of prep for this episode that FDNY Commissioner Robert Tucker said in the days that followed. And it was the firefighter Brody gave his life protecting the city we all love. There is no sacrifice more selfless. And that's true. But there's another truth here too, and it's that the job takes a toll on the human body, even on those who seem indestructible. So let's talk about that body under fire, because firefighting is a physical task beyond most people's imagination when it's done to its most extremes. A combination of heat, gear, adrenaline, and exertion places unique demands on the cardiovascular system. When you step into that environment, heart rate goes through the roof, sweat is pouring, air hot enough to burn through our gloves, and oxygen restricted by the mask. Your body is operating at its red line in these environments. Now here's what the research tells us. Across the United States specifically, roughly 45% of firefighter line of duty deaths are due to sudden cardiac events. That's nearly half. Studies show that firefighters are significantly more likely to experience a heart attack, arrhythmia, or stroke during or immediately after a fire than any other time in their lives. The triggers, physical exertion, heat stress, dehydration, and a massive release of stress hormones like adrenaline and cortisol. Even firefighters with strong baseline fitness are at risk when you combine heat, gear, and the exertion. The metabolic demand of work inside or above the fire can spike heart rates over 180 beats a minute and sustain it there for long periods of time. Add in the sleep disruption, shift work, and sometimes limited access to proper nutrition or recovery, and you've got a perfect storm for cardiovascular strain. And that's why I wanted to focus in on this element, irrespective of the tactics, and with the greatest of respect to Patrick, his family, and the crews that he supports. This is a hard job, and that's before we even consider what shift work does itself within the body. The reality of 24-hour duty cycles, unpredictable calls, and broken sleep patterns changes how our bodies function over time. Sleep deprivation isn't just about feeling tired. It disrupts hormone imbalance, increases blood pressure, elevates cortisol levels, and interferes with how the heart repairs itself. I used to be terrible for it. I would say silly things like, I'll sleep when I'm dead, and sleep is a cousin of death, and silly things. You know, we've glorified celebrities or CEOs of companies for getting 4 hours sleep a night. And I think we need to change that narrative. Medical studies show that chronic shift work can raise the risk of cardiovascular disease by as much as 40%. Firefighters are one of the most affected groups. The circadian rhythm, that internal body clock, and we have heard us speak about before, and you can also go and Google this, never fully adapts to constant disruption. Over the years, that stress accumulates, damaging the cardiovascular and metabolic systems that keep us alive. So when we talk about Patrick Brady collapsing on that roof, we can't speculate about his medical history. I'm sure he was a fit and outstanding firefighter, but we can acknowledge this broader reality that the job itself creates an environment where the heart is constantly pushed to its limits, both on and off the fireground. So let's talk about that culture and the cost. Now, we're proud of our toughness in the job. I'm terrible for it, you know. We're supposed to be, it's part of what makes the service work, is what we tell ourselves. But there's a flip side to that. The same toughness can make us slow to recognize when our bodies are warning us. I've said before, the body whispers before it screams. We push through fatigue, pain, dehydration, because that's the culture. The fire doesn't wait for anyone, right? And yet when you look at the numbers, when you look at the funerals, it's possible that we need to start addressing this. We need to start looking at it. It moves from the oblivious to the obvious, and it's impossible to ignore. Cardiovascular events kill more firefighters than building collapses, flashovers, entrapments, and explosions combined. So maybe toughness needs a redefinition. Maybe it's not just about running towards danger. Maybe it's also about looking after the machine that gets you there. That means medical screening, proper rehab on scene, hydration policies, structured rest, and leadership that values recovery as much as response. Because the body is a tool, and if that tool fails, the consequences ripple far beyond one person. Patrick Brady, from my readings and conversations, was doing everything right. He was performing an essential task in one of the world's most respected fire departments. The lessons here isn't about tactics, it's about awareness. The roof will always be part of the operational playbook, certainly in FDNY. Ventilation, whether vertical or horizontal, is a cornerstone of structural firefighting. It saves lives and makes conditions survivable for interior crews. But the people on the roof, the ones cutting, venting, coordinated, they're human. And humans have limits. It's our responsibility as leaders, as colleagues, as friends, to make sure those limits are respected. That might mean rotating the crews more frequently. It might mean ensuring medical checks are not just an annual tick box. It might mean we do more blood testing. It might mean being honest about our own health before the next job comes in. The fireground is an unpredictable environment. But preparation, health, and honest dialogue, those are within our control. Patrick Brady joined the FDNY in 2014. 11 years of service. Engine 227 was first, and then he went on to ladder 120. He was known for being steady under pressure, kind of firefighter you wanted next to you when things went sideways. His colleagues said, you hoped he was working when you got to the parking lot. You wanted to see his name on the board. He was also known for his humor. When he married his wife, Cara, he did it on April Fool's Day. Typical firefighter move. Laughter in the middle of chaos. And that's what we lose when we lose one of our own. It's not just skill or experience, which Patrick had a great deal of. We lose the laughter, the stories, and the glue that holds our teams, our watches, our stations, our firehouses together. So what do we take from Patrick's story? Hopefully, firstly and always, we take respect for him, for his family, for every firefighter who has ever stood on a roof in the heat and the smoke and done the job. We take perspective that the same courage which drives us towards the flames also needs to drive us towards better health, better awareness, and better care for one another. And we should take responsibility to make sure that when we talk about firefighter safety, we don't just talk about the tactics and the gear. I'm terrible for it, but I do want to continue to have more conversations around our health, because it's about the human heart beating inside of the PPE, inside of the firefighter, because it's that heart, literally and figuratively, that keeps the service alive. Patrick Brady gave his life doing what he loved. He lived the values that define our profession: courage, service, commitment. May his name be remembered not only in sorrow but in purpose, because every time we learn from a loss, as we always should, every time we make a change that keeps another firefighter safe, we carry a piece of Patrick and everyone else forward with us. So this episode is in memory of firefighter Patrick Brady. To Patrick's family, friends and brothers and sisters in FDNY, our thoughts are with you. Your loss is felt across the global fire service. And if this episode resonated with you, please take it back to your watch, your crew, your next training session. Talk about it. Have those honest conversations, either with others or have them with the mirror. Because every conversation that saves a firefighter's health or helps one of us come home safely honors his memory. Thank you for listening in again today. This has been the Firefighters Podcast. I've been Pete Wakefield. Please stay safe, stay sharp, look after each other, and I'll see you next time. Well, that's it for today, folks. Hope you took a lot away from that episode. We started the Firefighters Podcast to develop, inspire, connect, motivate, represent, and most importantly, celebrate the world of incredible emergency services operators and the wider sector through this series of wide-ranging conversations. We really love creating this podcast and bringing it to so many people. Did you know you can also find these on YouTube? We do a lot of video podcasts now. You can head over to our YouTube page and follow, subscribe there. And as a final ask from us, whatever platform you're on, please rate the podcast. It really helps us as a key performance indicator to reach more and more people. I've been your host, Pete Wakefield. This has been the Firefighters Podcast. And wherever you are in the world, please stay safe, be happy, live with intention, and where possible, please remember and support your firefighters and first responders. I'll see you next time.